Wagwan everyone, Sanjae Uchiha here. Welcome back to the channel where today we'll be tackling my concise thoughts and generally just my review for Boruto manga chapter 73, a new mission. Hopefully I get that title right. But yeah, depending on if my reaction goes up first or this goes first, definitely check out the other video as well. So two separate videos like how we did it last month between the reaction and the review. So yeah, but hope you guys are having an awesome day. Shout out to the new and returning subscribers, and of course I do appreciate all the love and support. My recent reaction discussion on Funnival World's, you know, one of his recent Boruto videos is doing. By my channel standards, that video is doing really well, over 1400 views, so respect to everyone that came out, and of course I'm looking forward to continuing the discussion with you all. But yo, this chapter was okay. Honestly, this chapter of Boruto, it's I think persons coming out of it are going to be a bit frustrated because it's one of those chapters where I think highlights the issue persons have with the series being monthly. And to be honest, I'm tempted to say it's no fault of Kishimoto or whoever is actually writing the story, because with this chapter it's a very dialogue focused chapter where we have Shikamaru, who has called the new Team 7, Boruto, Kawaki, Sarada, and Mitsuki, to the Hokage office to brief them on their new mission. So this chapter basically just goes over information that we, the audience, already know in painstaking detail. And to be honest, again, as I said, it's one of those chapters that really emphasizes the problem I feel persons might have with the manga being monthly. But it's kind of like, as I said, I'm kind of tempted to say Kishimoto has an excuse, because at the end of the day, Boruto, or just Team 7 in general, the information that's put on display in its entirety, Boruto and company don't actually know. So it kind of doubles down as an excuse for, you know, Shikamaru to actually feed Boruto and company all this information that us, the audience, already know. So it's kind of like a double-edged type of deal, double-edged sword type of deal. So you gotta kind of put up with it. But anyway, so the chapter starts off decently, I think, because one of the things I was kind of expecting coming into this chapter for Team 7, or just the mission where Team 7 is concerned, one of my prediction was enough tensions to be put into place in the inter-team dynamics. And while it wasn't at the level that I thought this chapter would have, you know, started establishing it, it's still kind of there, but it's more so not necessarily between the team yet, at least, but between Konoha and the current situation where Boruto and Kawaki is concerned. Now, Shikamaru does specify that, of course, Kawaki's technically can be classified as a threat to Konoha, and you know, Boruto has a situation where even though he's 100% Otsutsuki, and there's no solution at the moment when it comes on to Momoshiki potentially taking over his consciousness. So Shikamaru frankly points that out and points out that these are the two major bombs that the village of Konoha has to be dealing with right now. And he goes on to essentially establish and point out the situation where Code, Eida, and Amado is concerned, in terms of Code having his limiters removed, Eida and the threat that she poses to not only the village but the entire world, as Shikamaru puts it. And given that this is Shikamaru saying this, I think it kind of helps establish Eida more as a super global threat. I mean, her abilities are like busted, but there are ways around it. But the fact that Shikamaru is putting it to a level like, yo, this is a serious threat, I think that says volumes. And given that Shikamaru within this chapter did not expressively, specifically state or make Team 7 know about the existence of Daemon, I think in his head Shikamaru is at least considering the two of them as a unit being a threat that could actually just take over the world. So that kind of emphasizes again that, at least when I think indirectly establishes on Daemon's side, that yeah, he is the strongest person on the planet right now. So yeah, it is what it is. The combination of those two wouldn't be normal, and of course he would be considering Amado's, you know, warnings on it. So there's that. So as we go through the chapter, and you know, Shikamaru's essentially stating all these things, Amado surviving, Amado releasing Code's limiters, the existence of Eida, and the fact that Code is, well, she's no longer working with Code. She's heading to Konoha. She can see everything that's going on. Just kind of info dump to the Team 7, essentially, kind of keeping them in suspense. But we eventually get the establishment of what the mission is, which, as Sasuke put it in this chapter, is basically glorified house arrest. Now, I'll give positives, I'll give a plus to the chapter for this, because I was saying before the chapter that I was kind of curious with how they were going to treat Eida in Konoha. Like, what would be the middle ground? You don't want to offend her, but you can't have her walking around all the same. And I kind of have to slap myself because I'm saying, of course, her abilities don't work on Otsutsuki, so it makes sense to confine her with Kawaki and Boruto, two characters that she would potentially have well, she has a love interest in Kawaki and, you know, potentially Boruto. So that's the middle ground plan that, you know, Shikamaru has come up with, which I definitely love because, of course, it's Shikamaru big brain plan, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like the natural order of things. There's no other move that can be made. But at the same time, it doubles down at, you know, it does a good job of not offending Eida. So, you know, that's a middle ground there. And of course, you can eventually ease her into helping them with the whole code situation. So that's Shikamaru's big plan. And of course, I was kind of worried when I was reacting to and reading the chapter, because I was saying like, okay, it kind of feels like, again, now we're doubling down and we're going back to the whole Kawaki and Boruto situation, and then Mitsuki and Sarada are going to be left out again. But at least in the grand scheme of things, since this mission is not just to monitor and, you know, get Eida onto her side, kind of ease her into the village, it's also to monitor Boruto, since we don't know when Momoshiki might, you know, take over his consciousness. And of course, the Sarada, Konohamaru and Mitsuki side of this whole, you know, ragtag team is responsible for, you know, watching over everything, including Boruto and Kawaki, while, you know, Boruto and Kawaki will be, you know, housemates with Eida, the threesome of a lifetime. What can I say? But it kind of makes me wonder how they're going to handle the situation of Daemon. So that's the next thing too. I kind of found it odd that, you know, Kishimoto and by extension, you know, Shikamaru decided to leave that tidbit of information out. Will Daemon be boarding with them too? So that's the interesting part. You know, it's so interesting since Eida can actually see, you know, and hear what's going on. It's like, yo, dog, as Shikamaru said, this information is already leaked, so what can we do? What can we really do? So it was kind of cool to say, like, when at the end of his conversation with Team 7, he's like, yo, isn't that right, Eida? I was like, okay, yeah, this is nice. So at least we don't have to waste time with like the benefit of that, at least, even though it's kind of having all this dialogue that we already know as the audience. At least when Eida comes to the village, we don't have to waste any time with any major, you know, dialogue and setting her up. So, yo, you're going to be living here, whatever, you're going to spend time with these persons. We've essentially made room for other dialogue when she actually gets to the village. So hopefully when she does get there, we don't have to repeat certain dialogue. So that's the silver lining in all of this. In the grand scheme of things, Eida's already up to date, and then she can update Amado while they're on the train. And of course, that conversation can be partially off screen in terms of Eida potentially updating Daemon and Amado, but it still leaves the question what's going to happen to Daemon. So that's going to be the interesting part. Now, I kind of like it because apart from watching over, you know, Eida, and then Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru watching over, you know, all of them, the interesting part that I think Kishimoto managed to throw in that could, you know, whet our appetites, something to look forward to, is the appearance of Momoshiki in the room, and the fact that Kawaki saw Momoshiki, which is very interesting. Because at the end of the day, as I said, one of the things that I'm looking forward to, if you watch my Team 7 Unites, or, you know, Team 7's next mission video that I did before this chapter dropped, I was saying tensions between the characters is something that's going to be, we can actually look forward to, given the nature of these things right now, where, you know, Kawaki is like the most powerful, nobody in Konoha can control him, and, you know, he has this power that's, you know, he doesn't have to listen to anybody, and probably in a sense, him having this power stands in opposition of the philosophies or the whole teamwork aspect that they were going through when in the training they were having in chapter, I think 58 they were about. So, and now with Boruto and, you know, Kawaki in the same house, of course I don't expect any anything crazy to be happening, because you know they didn't seem to take it anyway that you know he killed me and this is the first I'm seeing him. So I'm not expecting that type of tension, but I'm expecting inter-team tension, something, you know. So that's going to be interesting. But I think adding the whole Momoshiki to it is going to take it to another level, at least between Boruto and Kawaki, to see what's happening. And maybe we can probably find out some more information regarding the karma and Momoshiki's whole mindset going into this whole prophecy for Boruto. So that's going to be very interesting, something to look forward to, apart from just this potential slice of life kind of vibe in the manga. So yeah, I like that aspect of it. Now, interesting tidbit, we have, you know, Sasuke saying this is a glorified, you know, house arrest, and you know Naruto kind of breaking down that, you know, this is at least a decent way to have them under control given the situation, which I like from Naruto's character. You know, even though he's a father, you know, he's still owning up to his responsibilities and what he has to do as the Hokage. So I like that. That was a very in character moment, I think, with where he is in his career. What was interesting though is that Sasuke, when Momoshiki showed up in the Hokage's office, Sasuke was able to sense it. So I'm starting to think that's Kishimoto dropping hints of something's going to be happening with Sasuke's eye going forward, because in my head I'm saying with the Rinnegan gun and even with Kurama gun, at least when you're comparing like Siege Mode Naruto to Sasuke, you know, Naruto, all things considered, should be the better sensory type right now. But the fact that Sasuke was able to sense Momoshiki, I find that interesting, because the conversation that Momoshiki had with Boruto, like at the end of the Momoshiki or any of the Chunin exam arc, or Boruto Naruto the movie, whatever, he was only able to like see like and hear that conversation because of his Rinnegan. So it kind of has me wondering, is there some kind of latent power still there within Sasuke, or is it a type of thing similar to like, you know, Madara using Susanoo without eyes? He doesn't have the Rinnegan anymore, but his body can somehow, you know, make use somehow, like things that he could potentially see only because of Rinnegan, his body can somehow sense it on a level now because he already had a Rinnegan at one point. It could be something like that, or maybe it could be Kishimoto alluding to, you know, something with the eye coming up at some point, maybe, because I just found it odd that Sasuke sensed it but Naruto couldn't. And the only thing that really separated Naruto and Sasuke from actually seeing that conversation that Boruto had with Momoshiki back then was the Rinnegan. So like, it just seems so odd to me. But all in all things considered, Shikamaru's plan, the potential tensions that are being set up between Team 7, or at least between, you know, Kawaki and Konoha, Kawaki and Boruto, you know, kind of setting the framework for, you know, that silver line to have less repeated dialogue when Eida actually comes to the village, adding a bit of, you know, intrigue or something to look forward to beyond just, you know, Kawaki and Boruto chilling out with Eida in a house, the ultimate threesome. Something to look forward to with Momoshiki there, and probably some tensions between, you know, Kawaki and Boruto, probably information about the karma, and of course some interesting things to potentially look forward to with Sasuke. So given the negatives I would say about the chapter, I still think I'd settle on a 6 out of 10 for this chapter for my rating. Not a bad chapter, but not a good one either, but just enough to actually say, oh, this is okay, and we're looking forward to next month at least. So with all the dialogue that we got in this chapter, I'm expecting next month's pacing to be, or at least the dynamic in next month's chapter, to be really interesting. So anyway, Sanjae Uchiha, let me know what you thought about Boruto Chapter 73. I thought it was very interesting, and helped to set the groundwork going forward for Chapter 74 and beyond, with not only things to look out for, but tensions and interesting interactions and dynamics to experience when it comes on to some of our fan favorite characters. So yeah, Anyway, let me know what you thought about my thoughts. Is there anything I missed? Let's have a discussion. As per usual, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. I appreciate it. Let's get the discussion going and continue flowing. And I'll see you in the next Boruto video. Remember to watch the reaction to the chapter. Thank you.